This is my work with lesson 16 on bass movement. First, let me talk to you about where my material comes from. Prior to joining Meta, I was into the habit of picking up one mode and playing around with it to see what I could do. And this is what I did. This is my starting point, actually. I was exploring Lydian Sharp 2, which is a mode from harmonic minor. It's not part of the 26 mode that you use at Meta, but this is a sound that I like, so I wanted to use it. So this is the horizontal formula, the standard triads, and all possible triads matrix, as I call it, with modes that include a 3 interval. We have this kind of thing happening where we have, from the same root tone, we have different kind of triads. Here we have a major triad, a minor triad, and a diminished triad, all over a C root tone. So this is what's written right here. So this is my starting point. Listening to this, I decided to use the first 3 chords here as a motor. Being a lesson on bass, I wanted to use the mode for bass melody. Treating this as a matrix of triads, I plan on using this sequence of chords, actually these two. All of this with chromatic runs, downwards, upwards, or ascending, descending. I also planned on using the church modes with RC3s or 4, RC6. So this is what we have here with chord tones, scale tones, and chromatic runs. And last but not the least, in relation to the meeting that we had, the last meeting, where people were asking how they can identify the type of emotion related to their work, this is one of my recipe for writing a certain type of music. So I wanted to give you an idea. For instance, here, this is something that I found out a few months ago. If I use some mixture of root cycle 3 or 4, 1s and 6, I can get a very specific type of sound which is good for maybe fantasy, comedic, animation, vein. This is what we have here over central tonal center, which is F in this case. I go +4, -4, -1, back to F, +4, -4, and then 6. And the same thing here, this time in minor. Okay, so I wanted to display that too in my sketch. Now the sketch itself, parameters, well, modes from harmonic minor. I wrote the two of them here. It's the same pitches, but with different roots. So you see here I use B as a root, and it's D Lydian Sharp 2 if you wish. So this is one part line writing and 2 part line writing, and let me explain this a bit. I'm using motivic development technique, which is augmentation, raising the note value of the notes. It's not strict because I was aiming for a syncopated rhythm between both lines. So you see there's a B here, that's a C, that's a D sharp, that's E, back to D sharp, then go to G, F sharp, so on. So this is very close to this first melodic fragment. And then this one, I actually used this technique that you shared in this top 10 techniques for gathering, using your melody as part of your bass. So this is what I did here. You see the B, D sharp, E, B, D sharp, E, so on. So this is the idea here. Then the famous motor with the bass melody modal, or in the same mode as shown before. Then the matrix of triads, kind of, with some chromatic runs, descending and ascending. And here we have a pedal with a chord preparing the transition to the other section. And this is where we get to the, I call it a recipe. It's not a very sexy word, but it explains what it needs to explain. you put some ingredients together and you get a certain result. And this is what's happening here. So I'm using chord tones in the bass, chromatic runs, and this is the Dorian one, this is the Mixolydian one. I'm using 3+3 here with a chromaticism or +1. Then scale tones to lead into the other section. Then a repeat of the intro, repeat of the 2-part line with syncopated rhythm. And as a finale, using the motor with this time the melody in the bass. So that's the plan here. Let's have a listen. That's it. As you can hear, the sketch is very, very well developed, and there's not much to do actually to put it into an orchestrated complete piece. So this is the development. I was striving at the beginning. I was in this part here with actually this first page. I was striving for a very big sound, leading to a quieter section with the root cycles 1, 3, and 6. Okay, so tutti here, all playing B's, melody in the French horns, and a little answer from the timpani that's repeated 3 times. Then we get the syncopated rhythm, the 2-part line writing with the melody being played in French horns and woodwinds, and everything else is playing the second line. Now the motor leading to a pedal and the melody in the bass line again with this chromatic line. Then we arrive at the section which is lighter with cello pids, harmony in French horns and melody in oboe. Then we get to the second part, which is this is the one in Mixolydian, where there's an exchange of melody between violins and oboes, but everything else remains pretty much the same, except maybe there's a punctuation at the end of a 4-bar phrase where tones are doubling the horns for melody. And we get this same idea here at the end of the other 4 bars, where we have the bones helping out the bass line. Then the same, the root progression in Dorian with the melody in the oboe, doubled by the bones. Everything else pretty much the same, except maybe a little more perk added. Little cadence here. And we get back to the beginning of the piece actually. This is almost an exact copy, besides maybe some perk. And then we go to the outro. We have a motor that was adapted to the root progression going with the melody, of course. But we have a bass melody again with a strong cadence at the end. Now let's hear that. that's it. I'm pretty pleased with the result, actually. I think it sounds pretty good. So that's it for now. Talk to you later. Bye, Frank.